Hello everyone and welcome to the Breaking Barriers webinar from the PGMOL. We're really excited about sharing some of the more fascinating and incredible experiences that's happening in the game. And the focus of today's discussion will be about working in age diversity, hearing from some of the truly inspirational people within the game. And I know they don't always get the plaudits because sometimes when you think about referees, you think about the negatives. But these officials have definitely been making waves from a young age. But before we get into that, here's Mike Riley, because of course he is the MD of the PGMOL, with a few words just to welcome you in.
Thanks, JD, and it's a pleasure to have you hosting today's session. And a huge welcome to everyone joining us for the latest Breaking Barriers session. When we talk about diversity, we can sometimes forget about age, but it's essential that we don't lose sight of this. And the PGMOL's Inclusiveness Advisor Group certainly won't allow that to happen. The PGMOL is proud to give opportunities to talented referees and officials regardless of their age. What matters is ensuring that all of our referees throughout the country are supported and ready to take to the field at all levels of the game. The PGMOL wants the best match officials, and we want people of all ages to consider this profession as an option. Leading some of the country's best companies are CEOs who span the age range. It demonstrates that you don't qualify for leadership or working at the top of your profession because of your age. It's down to what you can deliver. The same is true of refereeing. Opportunities at all levels of the game exist for talented and dedicated officials, regardless of their age. Today, we get a chance to learn from the experiences of three great panellists. From Darren England, newly appointed to the FIFA referees list, Callum Jones, a level 3 referee from Liverpool, and Andy Haines, a stalwart of our national group of referees. So let's hand back to JD to open the discussions with our three great guests.
Still to this day, I still wonder how he managed to handle the battle of the buffet between Man United and Arsenal. I still think that's one of the most iconic games of today. But of course, wise words as always from Mike. So before further ado, I think it's time now we introduce the guest for today. And I'm in a steam company. I like it because I'm with a Premier League referee in Darren England, who's been selected to Group 1 and officiates, of course, in the Premier League and the Championship and progressing through the ranks at a relatively young age. Now, Darren, just quickly before we introduce our next guest, I've got a quick question for you. Do you remember who you sent off at all this year? There's only been one red card that I can recall. Do you remember who you sent off?
This season, I had a second yellow for a Brentford player. Was it Henry?
Shandon Baptiste. But I'm glad that you recognize it as a Brentford player. I'm impressed because I can imagine how many different players are running through your mind all the time. So that is definitely impressive as far as I'm concerned. I want to bring in our other guest for today as well, a referee development officer down at the FA, now a level 3 referee for Liverpool FA as well, Callum Jones, who's experienced such a rapid rise through the echelons of the refereeing pyramid, and especially since applying for that promotion in 2017. Look, my question to you, Cal, is not going to be as hard as it was for Darren. I feel like I really put him on the spot there. But in terms of just your rise through and working with the FA now, especially with the association and the young referees development, how has it been? And what level does refereeing at level 3 sort of consist at?
Yeah, so my rise has been a really enjoyable one for myself. Obviously, I started refereeing when I was 14 to do my GCSE PE. I didn't start refereeing men's football until 6 years ago when I was 19. And my rise has been quite a rapid one. Now I'm at level 3. It involves a professional game where every game's competitive, working with professional players, professional people, and it's about doing a professional job every week and delivering football matches to a safe conclusion. But yeah, really enjoy it. Love me refereeing, and long may it continue.
This is interesting, guys. I don't think many times we've sat down and probably understood it from a referee's perspective in terms of the dedication, the drive, and what it takes to achieve what you guys have done so far in your careers and still going to go and do, because I can see both of you still probably have great ambitions, which we'll get into. But I want to take it back first. And Darren, you told me, because I always thought referees are crazy bunches just to get involved in the game. What made you realize you wanted to take this to the professional level and now at the top of your field as well?
Yeah, I mean, I got into refereeing. I coached for Barnsley Football Club for many years, so I come from a kind of coaching background. And a referee course came up actually whilst I was still at school, and my friend's dad was taking his son and said, "Do you want to come along?" So yeah, fine. So it's another qualification. Kind of, we were told, and I'm sure young people are still told now, get as many qualifications as you can. So I went along to the course, did the course, and actually, similar to Callum, didn't referee actually adult football until a few years later. I did the course when I was 15, started refereeing kind of 18, 19 adult football. And yeah, I mean, I think when I started out, it was more of a platform to shape my skills, develop my skills around communication, leadership, and all, and teamwork, which refereeing gives that platform massively to those kind of type of skills, and also a bit of pocket money, to be honest with you, as well. It's a really good form of income when you're doing lots of games kind of every weekend. So I kind of started out doing this, and then I got into it, started enjoying it, and yeah, kind of worked my way up through the levels, and I think the higher I got, kind of my targets, my goals then become more kind of ambitious to say, okay, then actually this could be actually a career, and with a bit of luck, but a lot of hard work as well, that's come kind of to the fore now in terms of being a professional referee.
Cal, probably the same applies to you. I know that you spoke about studying at Wild Juice GCSE and wanting to get into the game from so early, but would you say it's something that was always innately inside of you? Like you always wanted to see what this venture and this avenue down refereeing could do for you?
I think if someone had told me 10 years ago that I'd be, trying to make a career out of refereeing, I'd have probably laughed at them. When I played, I was a nightmare for referees myself, as you can imagine. However, it's something that gets a grip here, and now having the rise through to the lower levels of the professional game, as Darren said earlier, you get that bug, and your mindset and your goals change. My ambition now definitely is to reach the highest levels of the game possible, and with a bit of luck and a lot of hard work, like Darren said, I do think that's achievable. I've definitely got time on my side. It's just the only person who's going to stop me doing it is myself. So, no, I wouldn't say it's definitely always been a burning desire. From a young age, I always wanted to be a professional footballer. But if I can be a professional referee, I think that'll be a good substitute.
I think this is a good opportunity for you guys to be networking as well. I mean, there's going to be so many young referees that are going to be watching this and take inspiration from this. And people even maybe that didn't consider being a referee, hopefully after this conversation, will understand the opportunities that are down there. So Darren, as Callum just alluded to there, what is it like to referee at the top level? I know you've been selected into the Group 1 now, which I'm guessing when you joined this venture would have been hopefully a goal for you. But what is that feeling like now to know that you are one of the elite referees in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic achievement and something I'm proud of. And again, it just brings so many great opportunities. And we always say you've got the next best seat in the house, in the stadium, to the players, to be honest. You're on the same pitch as the players. You're part of memorable games, memorable goals, memorable moments. And you're contributing to that event. We know the Premier League is a global brand, and you're on the world stage. So to be part of that and managing and controlling elements of the event on a match day, i.e. the 90 minutes, we're really fortunate to do that. But again, like I said before, a lot of hard work's gone into that, and a lot of hard work continues to go into that to keep performing at the top level, because the expectations at this level are so high, and rightly so, because it's the top level of football. So yeah, great opportunities.
Darren, I want to follow up there because I'm understanding the great opportunities and I'm understanding showcasing your skill set at the highest level, but how do you handle the pressures? I mean, officiating at such a young age, you're very advanced in terms of your age for where you are in comparison to your peers. So how have you handled that pressure of course, delivering at the top level?
Yeah, there's a lot of self-belief that goes into it, and you need to make sure you believe in your potential and believe in your ability as well. But then you're always conscious of making sure that doesn't turn into arrogance as well, and being humble. And having that appreciation that, you know what, mistakes will happen. We obviously don't go out and think, oh, well, we will get decisions wrong today. Fine, no problem. No, we go out there. We want to make sure we want to get 100% decisions right. Of course we do. But we know we're human beings and mistakes will happen. And it's about how you learn from the mistakes. And it's about making sure you don't make the same mistake and analysing your performance. In terms of approaching games and the pressure, it's something I thrive on. Clearly, in the environment I've chose to kind of work in and develop my career. It's that challenge and challenging myself and pushing myself all the time. And sometimes you take yourself out of your comfort zone. And for me, I like to do that. I know some people don't, but actually, those people who don't, when actually they have the opportunity to do that and push themselves out of the comfort zone, the rewards are massive. The rewards are huge. At whatever level of football, whatever career, whatever job you kind of do. But I like to push myself. I kind of thrive on that pressure. But in terms of coping with it, just keeping relaxed and trying to maintain kind of on match days the same routine, approaching the games in the same way, and being calm. Because generally, like for everyone, if you're calm under pressure, then you'll generally perform better.
We're going to get into those routines in a second because I remember I used to put my left sock on before my right sock when I used to play football. So I want to know if referees have the same sort of weird routines. But Cal, as he was talking about there, those pressures, those increasing pressures, do you think it's harder now because of the environment of social media and of course, we're in the age group where we probably would have social handles and see sort of the abuse and the comments that people feel like they can say. Do you feel like there is enough support now? And do you feel like there is increasing pressure on maybe the younger referees in this modern generation?
I mean, the exposure now throughout the levels is increasing at a rapid rise. You know, I finish a game on a Saturday, I can check Twitter at 3:05 and there'll be a load of comments about my performance, good and bad. On a Sunday, the match highlights will go onto YouTube. The manager will do an interview after the game, exactly how they would in the Premier League, which is 5 levels ahead of me. It's just about being insular to it. If you go looking for negative comments, you'll go find them. If you go looking for positive comments, you'll go find them. So I think the best thing you can do is don't look for either. I think there is support there if you need it from the FA, and obviously from the PGMOL. But I think it's just about being thick-skinned, and when you're a referee, you've already got that trait about you. So as I say, if you go looking for comments, you'll find them. But obviously, it's easier said than done. When things are going well, you want the instant feedback of a match report telling you that you've done well. But when it's not so well, you don't want to take that criticism on. So, as I say, if you don't go looking for comments, you won't find them.
So, Cal, what's your routine? I want to know for remaining cool under pressure because it's an intense game. We've all played. I'm guessing whatever level we played at. We know that every decision, everyone always feels like I'm completely in the right. So how do you remain cool under pressure?
I mean, it's just trying to keep everything the same. I mean, it's very difficult to keep every match day the same because when you get to a ground, everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone's got a question for you and everything else. But music in the dressing room before the game is a massive one for me. I'm not going to say I have a bit of a sing and a dance, but it's something that definitely relaxes me. But when we get to 10-3, its mindset is fully on the game. Last song before we go out is always the same. It's something that means a lot to me, and that's what gets me focused. But as you say, as Darren said, it's all about trying to stay calm under pressure. But I think that's where the preparation from Monday to Friday comes in. If you've done everything right in the week, then the match day is just another match day. The rules of football don't change. It's 22 players all trying to win a football match, and you're just there to bring it to a safe conclusion. So it's just about trying to stay as calm as possible, which sometimes is easier said than done.
Cal, I want to know what's on the playlist. I'm not going to lie to you. As soon as you said playlist, I want to know. I know Darren laughed as well, so I know Darren wants to know what's on the playlist.
Yeah, it varies, to be fair. There's a bit of Coldplay in there, a bit of ABBA, a bit of dance music. It's just all just feel-good stuff. But yeah, I've heard definitely worse than mine in some dressing rooms I've been in across the country. So
I want to know... And this is maybe a personal question from myself, probably the only personal question I'm going to ask. I think I always made an effort to speak to referees before the game, whether it's just have a good one, ref, or make a joke or whatever else. It might have got me out of a yellow card, maybe in the early tackles. Do you referees notice that unconscious bias? Do you notice those tricks and those trades? And what are the sort of rituals that you look out for? Or maybe for preparation reasons for yourself, Darren, that you would go?
I mean, yeah, you're open to conversations and chats before games and things. Of course, when you're walking around, it's inevitable you'll come across players, managers when you're on the field checking for us goal line technology and things like that. And you come across, and yeah, you have conversations because you have to be approachable as well, and also show the human side, because I think sometimes people don't see the human side to referees and don't appreciate we're actually human beings. So it's quite good to have conversations away from the 90 minutes and just talk football or things in general. But yeah, like Callum said, as soon as the 90 minutes kind of starts, it's another match day. You're in that kind of frame of mind, and you take decisions on their own merit, and you haven't got time to think he was all right before the game. He had a good chat with me and stuff. I kind of let him off with this one. So unfortunately, that tactic doesn't work, unfortunately. But yeah, kind of that's. But it's good to have conversations kind of away from the 90 minutes because it's filtered in the 90 minutes. It's the tension there, the energy with the players and the managers and stuff. Where actually before the game, it's a little bit more relaxed, and you can talk about things and have a chat about kind of issues and whatever in the game or talking points.
The reason why I asked is because I'm so interested to know and effectively what both of you do. And Darren, you can address this first, as you manage 22 personalities and probably 24, including the two managers on the sideline as well, for 90 minutes. It's a real management skill. So how do you balance the variety of personalities that you might see in a game? And do you think it affects maybe the way that you interact or handle situations?
Yeah, I mean, and as Callum will know now as well, on level 3, you're managing not just 24 people, you're managing the event, you're managing the crowd and everything what goes with it in terms of that game and that theatre, as we call it. So you're managing everything from start to finish. And I think for me, you just be true to yourself and you have your own personality. And the more games you do, the more experience you get. You know the players you will be able to interact with. You know the players who you need to almost limit the interaction, because if not, they will talk to you all game and they want a conversation about every single decision. And there's others who don't want to interact at all, and that's absolutely fine. And it's just making sure you know the right people you can talk with and the right moments you can do that with as well. And you won't get it right all the time. No matter if you've been on for 1 year or 20 years, you won't get it right all the time because we can't read minds. Of course we can't. But we can read emotions and body language and things like that. So for me, it's being true to yourself and having your own kind of personality and being consistent there, and then adapting it slightly for certain players and certain situations where you need to be strong, or actually where you need to have a little bit of a smile, because sometimes a smile can diffuse things as well. So it's having that range of kind of things in your armory to deal with different situations.
I remember growing up and watching referees, and of course, when you take the fan element out of it, sometimes I did feel a bit sorry for them. I mean, referees will always tell me now in my profession, if you don't notice me, it means I've had a great day. I think about some of the previous games that I just stand out in my mind. I think about the way that Chelsea players used to talk to referees growing up, or you think about the Paolo Di Canio incident. I just want to know from both of you, and Cal, you can go first. These things didn't deter you, and what do sort of the older referees sort of passed on in terms of messages about those times and how we've changed?
I think if you know, at the end of the day, we're in a job where we're never going to please everyone. I think if you go into a game knowing that you could end up with a bit of stick, then and you're open to that, then that's fine. It could be very easy to be deterred. You know, you see the abuse, especially lower down, and even to the highest levels of the game. It's there. It'll probably be there to stay. Football's partisan. It always has been. Unless the culture shifts, it'll never go away. Unfortunately, we're not involved in rugby league, rugby union, where the referee is treated with the utmost respect. Football is a partisan sport. There's been a history of hooliganism all the way through it. Unfortunately, it's part of the job. That's where the resilience, the thick skin comes involved. And if you can get through that, then you can get through anything really, because the 90 minutes of football never changes. But sometimes the abuse can go too far.
Darren, what do some of the older referees or some of the senior referees pass on to you in terms of those values? And I know they always want to sprinkle sort of gems from their days, and maybe you translate it and make it relevant to the modern game that you're more refereeing now. So what were some of those values that were passed on to you?
Certainly kind of the appreciation that, look, things will get tough at times and the pressure will be almost unbearable at times when you're in the heat of the battle. But again, it's just backing yourself and having that self-belief, because you're there for a reason. You've made your way. The refereeing ladder, the promotion ladder, is so kind of structured and rightly so, but there's so many steps to go through. And I know it's going to get easier, more streamlined and things going forward, which is brilliant. But there's so many games and moments where you have to go through to get kind of up the ladder. And it's just about being true to yourself and having that confidence to go, look, you are good enough to do it. And just having that humility to go, look, things will happen. And if you do your best to go out there, whatever level it is, whether you're on a Sunday morning on a field by yourself, which, by the way, I have so much respect for the referees who do that. And I've been there as well. And yeah, you have tricky moments where you do get the abuse and stuff. But if you can come through that, then the rewards and the opportunities are huge. And there is a lot more support now, to be honest. There's a lot more support at the lower levels. But at the same time, the exposure has gone up as well. Like Callum said, social media, and games are being recorded and filmed now, put on YouTube immediately afterwards. You can see your highlights, which is fantastic from a learning point of view and looking at your own performances. But again, it's out there. It's out there in the ether, and people can see it and form opinions. So it's just having that self-belief and knowing that things will get tough, but you'll come through it. And at the end, the rewards are fantastic for referees at every levels.
I'd love to speak to both of you about mentors. I think I've only learned, even in my field and probably every walk of life, mentorship is really, really important. Who are some of the people that have helped you, Cal, in terms of your journey, and who are some of the mentors that you have in the game? And if not, then I know a guy called Darren that I think could be really, really good as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very, very lucky to have some really, really important people throughout my short refereeing journey. From my first, mentor at Liverpool County FA was Billy Cowan. It was great for me from level 7 to level 5. I'm still in touch with him now. Still make sure he's okay. We still have conversations after the game. And now I'm lucky enough to have Peter Banks, who's a Premier League referee, who's my mentor through the FA Core programme. So I'm very lucky. I've got a great core group of friends from refereeing who are going to be my friends for life, who I've met through coming through the game. And that's another side that people don't see. The networking and the opportunities of friendships. If nothing ever comes of this, then I'll have friends for life that I've met through refereeing. So it's all about getting a good group of people around you, people who you can trust, people who you can lean on, who you can give a phone call after the game, before the game. My journey to a game consists of 5, 6, 7 phone calls to different people, just to, do this today. I've tried this today on the way home. How did this go? Could I have done this differently? This has happened in my game today. If you can get as many good people around you as you can and have a solid network, then you won't go far wrong. But mentors are really important. The FA have got a really great development system in place, as do the county FAs, as do the local referee associations. I think if you can get it involved in as many groups as you can, which is something that I've done from a local to a national level, and then when you do get to the higher levels, try and drag people with you, which is something that I'm a firm believer of, then you won't go far wrong. But mentors are so important. You've got to try and get a massive group of people around you who you can trust and who believe in you, and they can give you the self-confidence to keep on pushing.
Darren, do you agree in terms of the importance of that mentorship, and can it be lonely? I can imagine the amount of reviewing games, and anytime you're the top of any field, they say that it's probably some of the loneliest places you can be. So who is your support basis and who do you lean upon?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Callum said. There is a great network at every level now, and it's much better from when I started at kind of being a level 7 referee. But what I would say is at level 7, the first few games, I still speak to 2 guys from Barnsley, from the local area. The one who came to my first ever game where I had a red card for a headbutt, and we all do the course. You can do the laws of the game and all that stuff, but nothing prepares you until you actually start refereeing. Like driving tests, you can do your theory, but actually when you get behind the wheel, it's very different. And I had a headbutt, and I was kind of like, I know it's a red card, but I'm like, what do I do? How do I show it and everything? Which again sounds so simple, but again, when you're doing it under pressure, and yeah, it might have only been one man and his dog watching, but you still pressure there in your first game. And it was fantastic that this guy John was there to see that, and he mentored and supported me, and I still speak to him now. And so he's obviously been there from the start. And another older guy who gave my first ever assessment. Again, I still speak to them at the kind of our local association. So there is a great network, and it was there before, but I think much more now. And with the FA Core program and what the PGMOL are putting in place, the support network can be fantastic. And it's about who you surround yourself with. Like Callum said, you've got to trust people who you want to surround yourself with. And I also have people who are not really referee specialists or referee backgrounds kind of thing. One of us is my dad. My dad never refereed. He doesn't know really much. He obviously knows a lot about refereeing now because he's been to the games, but he thinks he's an expert. But I tell him he's not. But it's quite good to have that perspective from him, because he doesn't know the intricacies of going in certain positions on certain situations and all that stuff. But he just looks at it from outside looking in, and a football person really. So that's quite good. But yeah, it's having that group of people around you. But for me, the key thing there is the trust, and you can trust people, and you can take on board what they say, and some feedback you get from people, you can also park it as well and put it on the shelf and go, well, appreciate that, but actually I don't think that'll work for me. Might try this as well. So yeah, it's much better now in terms of the level of support coming through right at the beginning. So anyone who wants to start refereeing, there's a real great support network in place.
I'd love for you lot both to talk about sort of the impacts of your family, because both of you mentioned it there, how important they've been in terms of just propelling you and pushing you forward. I mean, Darren, you first, it would just be lovely if you could just talk about how, because like I said, the referees that I do know say to me, sometimes it can be lonely, and sometimes you do just want to switch off. And that's, I guess, where the family impact does become really, really important.
Yeah, massive for me. Understanding wife, very understanding wife. You need an understanding partner or friends, because particularly the level where we operate at now, there's a lot of time away from home. This last week has been kind of out and about and many games and things. So it can be tough. It can be challenging, but you have to be organised. You have to be professional. You have to be organised in terms of, right, okay, then this is my schedule, and when am I going to train? Because again, if you train properly, then you put yourself in the best position, give yourself the best opportunity to perform on 3 o'clock on a Saturday. But yeah, having that family time and switching off from football in general. My career, my job's been within football, to be fair, coaching side of it, the community side of it as well, and also obviously refereeing as well. So, but switching off away from that and having that release and having family to share and do things with, other things with, is really good. And I see a lot of young referees now were really keen, and it's fantastic, but it seems to be like refereeing is everything to them, and it's like, that's brilliant, and you absolutely need to have that drive, but at the same time you have to have that release as well, because it can overcome you, to be honest, at times. So having family, friends to switch off from football with is really good as well. So yeah, but a very understanding wife.
Said it 3 times. She must really.
Most lives we can show her later, so I get proud of it.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly.
Cal, I know how important your family is to you as well. And if you could just talk about any impact or how they've helped influence the direction of your career and all the great things that you're going to go on and have done already.
I mean, if there are any parents who are going to end up watching this of young referees, one thing I will say is support your child as much as you can. You know, when I first started, my mum and dad come to pretty much every game. You know, my dad, until he passed away last year, come to every single game of mine. And just having that little thumbs up that you can get off them on the side when things may not be going so well, it's that little bit of a comfort blanket, having a face in the stands that you recognise and you know. If your parents can understand the sort of the role that you're in, the job that you're doing, and they can give you that bit of support away from refereeing, like Darren said, you know, it costs nothing. There'll be times when you know your child will come in, he'll throw the bag and go, I never want to do that again. And having the ability to put their arm around you and say, you know, it's all right, just keep going, you know, get back on the bike, get back on the horse, everything will be all right. The support that you can get from your family and friends, and like Darren said, who are understanding, without that you've got no chance. The higher up you get up the pyramid, the more commitment that comes involved, the more understanding there needs to be, and you will end up losing, you know, relationships in terms of friends and stuff, because you can't go out on a Friday night, you can't go out on a Saturday night after you've been at a game, and if those friends who are understanding will end up being your friends for life, but those who don't, unfortunately, you may end up losing contact with them. If you are so driven and determined to get to the higher levels of the game, you've got to be prepared to put the sacrifice in. But without a solid mum and dad, you know, brothers, sisters, grandparents, partners, friends who are going to come on that journey with you, it'll be very, very hard for you. So if you can get a network of people, like I said before, who you can lean on, then, you know, you're really, really lucky. And I'm very lucky that I've got a great group of friends, great missus, a great mum, and I did have a great dad to lean on. So yeah, that network of people is really important.
Cal, your dad never leaves you, man. I'm telling you now, as someone whose dad's passed away, trust me when I say that to you. Their support bases, and he looks down and he smiles on you every day, bro. You're making him really, really proud. But I'd love for you to talk me through the process, because both of you have spoken about the qualifications and going through the ranks and the courses that are available. So Cal, talk to us about the access to the courses and the qualifications, and also the time management of it all.
Yeah, so, you know, it's changed now from, you know, when I done my course 10 years ago. It was a long process, and you'd sit in a room and you just get dictated by two older gentlemen of the laws of the game. You know, I now deliver the course. It's a much better course. You complete an online module beforehand, so you come to the course prepared. You've got a basic knowledge of the laws of the game, and then it's two sessions, and it's all practical based. By the end of it, you do end up refereeing small sided games between those on the course, so you're already better prepared going into your first game. When I first started, and when Darren first started, you were going in and you'll know the laws of the game. But unfortunately, refereeing isn't just about what's in the laws of the game. A lot of it is around what's away from it, and managing people, managing the event is probably just as important, if not more, than the laws of the game, because the likelihood is you're not going to tick every single law situation off in your career. There are little obscure bits of law that will never probably ever come up, and there'll be parts of it that come up once in a career. But every time you go on that field of play, you've got to manage people and manage the event. So now the way the course has changed is definitely better suited to the referee. They're better prepared, and they'll probably be more successful in that starting period of when a lot of people do pack in after the 1 to 10 games, when they've had a dog load of abuse potentially. Once you move away from your course and you've completed your games, then you can get onto the promotion pathway. And there's a lot more exposure now through the work that the FA are doing, PGMOL are doing, where people are aware of it earlier, and they're getting involved into the promotion pathway earlier. That's something I never did. You know, I didn't get involved in men's football for 5 or 6 years. and then I've gone on to the promotion pathway and I've not looked back really.
I think there's really important information that's down below in terms of emails and information as to where you can begin your refereeing course. And Darren, I'd love for you to tell me, because the comparison that you're talking about, the coaching game and the coaches, I know they say that once you get to the UEFA A, the UEFA B, the pro license, it starts to get even harder. I'm guessing the walk for the pyramid of the refereeing is exactly the same with the same courses and qualifications.
Absolutely, like any walk of life as well. As it gets get higher up the pyramid, the harder it gets and the more competitive it gets as well. But yeah, I mean, my coaching background, I did my UEFA B license, and then a big step then in terms of going to UEFA A license as well. And exactly the same with refereeing. The demands become more as you increase and go through the levels. But the rewards are better as well, and the opportunities are there. And I know the FA, the PGMOL are making the pathway, the journey more streamlined, more efficient as well. So if you've got the talent and the ability and the commitment, then the pathway will be there for you to go through. So yeah, again, it is very structured to cover the extensive levels of football we have in this country. But there's also that streamlined element that if you've got the ability, then you'll be recognised and you'll be coached and helped and developed, and then you've got that opportunity to progress through the levels pretty quickly.
I think maybe we should get even more personal. I mean, I really appreciate the open conversation I'm having with both of you guys, but the important conversation that people are going to want to know is the setbacks, the barriers, the no's that you got. And probably sometimes you learn more from those no's. And I think a lot of people that's going to be watching this are going to learn more from those no's than they are going to ever from the yeses. So Darren, I'll come to you first. Like, what are some of the major setbacks that you've had, and some of the people that have turned around and said to you, maybe that this is not for you, or this is not going to be the time that you progress here? What were some of those experiences for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite fortunate early on. I went through levels pretty quickly from level 7 to, as it was, level 7 to 6. Then I got a double jump to 6 to 4, then 4 to 3, kind of 3 seasons on the bounce, which is obviously fantastic. But then actually got to level 3, similar level to Callum now, and you are in the semi-professional, professional arena of football, either as a referee, assistant, or a fourth official, and the demands are much more in terms of what they expect from you, how professional you are, the image of how you look, and how you interact with people as well, from the guy in the car park when you turn up to the fantastic volunteers and the lady in the tea room and fantastic people who make football tick at every level, to then actually refereeing the game of football as well. So yeah, I kind of, because I'd gone through the system quite quick, when I got to kind of level 3, my first season was really tough, and I spent 4 years at level 3, and because it took a couple of years for me to get used to that and adapt. And people may have said, well, you may have gone too quick through the system, but actually I'd gone through the system because I'd shown the ability and I'd got good feedback. But then at that level, it took a bit more time to adapt and get used to what the expectations are at that level of football. And yeah, it took me 4 years. And yeah, through that, there was a lot of tough games in there where I'm coming home thinking, is this for me? Can I go any higher? But again, you've got to believe in yourself as well. And again, speaking to your support network as well. And the other one for me is I made a big decision a few years ago. I was a Premier League assistant referee, and I was refereeing on the conference at the time. So I was a level 2A referee, as they call it now. And I got offered promotion as a referee to referee on the Football League on the national list. So you'd be refereeing League 1 and League 2 games. By then, it's all changed now. But at that time, you have to then give up being an assistant referee. So I had this big decision to go, do I give up being an assistant on international matches on the Premier League? And do I pursue that career of refereeing and starting kind of at the conference level and working my way up, hopefully, to the Premier League? So that was a big decision. And I chose to referee and for many reasons. But I felt I had the ability and the potential to make it. And I know I'd work hard to do that. So yes, I'm at that level now, which is fantastic. But through that journey of the last what was it, 7 seasons of me working my way up, there's been a lot of games where, and a lot of decisions where it's pushed me back, and I've had some negative feedback from my network, my support network, from obviously the outside. But those are the games and those are the decisions that I look back on and think that's what's improved me the most. Not the games where you're running around and the game's fine and no one sees you, or the decisions what you've got wrong, but you understand the reasons why you've got them wrong, and you improve and you put things into practice in future games. And I can remember now that my second game as a nationalist referee, when I kind of gave up and made the decision and gave up the assistant referee route, was a real tough game. And it's probably one game I remember where I look back and go, that was a real eye-opener, to be honest, to go, look, you know what, I've made the decision. I didn't referee well at all. And I almost had to do the old kind of, I'm rolling my sleeves up. And I've made that decision. I've made my bed. I'm going to lie in it in terms of going forwards. And that kind of gave me that real kick to go, right, this is where we are. This is the situation. Let's move forwards now. And that's what I did. And yeah, there were other bumps in the road, of course, and there will continue to be. But I know that if I believe in myself and I listen to the support network and I work hard, then the rewards are there.
These Breaking Barriers webinars from the PGMOL has been a great success, talking to so many different referees with so much wide variety of experiences and levels as well, just to encourage the next generation. And that helped me bring in a senior referee at the EFL level who's been refereeing the game for 3 decades now. You might have seen him at some of your favorite League One and League Two grounds, and especially some of those cup competition. Andy Haines, thank you so much for joining me today, my friend. We thought it was so right, especially considering we're focusing on age diversity within these Breaking Barriers webinars, to speak to someone who's been so ingrained in the game for so long. But take us back, Andy, take us back to those first steps. How did you actually get into the refereeing profession?
Morning, JD. So for me, it was quite an informal, I guess, experience into the introduction to refereeing. I played in a works league in central London, and we would turn up for our games, and it was a toss of a coin whether you had a referee or not, which was a little bit frustrating because obviously we was in a formal league. And so as a result of that hit and miss, I decided to help out the league, and offered up some evenings to do some refereeing, which I quite enjoyed. It was good banter with the lads that I was refereeing. So I then decided to contact my local FA, London FA, and got myself onto a refereeing course. So that's how I got into the realms of refereeing.
You have to take us into the depth, because there's wanting to explore it and do it at a local level or get involved in the local leagues, as you were talking about. And then there's taking it to performing at some of the most important games, Papa John's trophies, League One and League Two, some of the biggest days in fans' memories you've officiated at. So how did you make that rise through the pyramid?
So it was very much a case of starting off at local level, Saturday afternoons, Sunday mornings, getting myself onto the promotion scheme. And back in that day, it was levels 3, 2, and 1. So everyone started at a level 3, and you would then arrange via the referee secretary of the league and the FA to be observed. So I was fortunate enough to go from level 3 to 2 to 1 in consecutive jumps, in consecutive years. And then found myself refereeing semi-professional football at the likes of Hillingdon and Lewisham, Cray Wanderers. And then as a result of continuing on that promotional ladder and wanting to push myself as far as I could, I was invited to attend an interview for Football League assistant, as an assistant referee, and I was promoted to the Football League in 2002, and I recall doing my first game with our new manager, Mike Jones, at the Delights of Darlington. I actually moved from London up to the northeast, and my first game on the Football League was at Darlington versus Oxford. I remember it really well. I spent the best part of 6 seasons on the line of the Football League, and at that stage we were both referee and assistant. So I was still refereeing at Northern League level, and then got myself promoted to what was known as the panel. So refereeing Prem Reserve, Football League reserves, and what's now badged as the National League. So I did 2 seasons on the National League, and then I was promoted to the Football League. Again, going through continuous assessments during that 2-year period whilst I was on the National League, and was fortunate enough to be invited to a selection day with the Football League, which is a lot different from the selection days that the guys have to go through now, but it meant an interview, and I was successful. So in 2006, I became a Football League referee. And going back then, we used to officiate on Division 1, Division 2, as well as the Championship. So we did all 3 divisions at that stage. And I guess, over time, did more and more Championship games. And I guess the one Championship game that really stands out for me was Leicester versus Crystal Palace. So, refereeing the likes of Vardy and Zaha. That was a standout moment. And then obviously the Football League introduced a Tier 2 level of professional referees. So I'm now focused on Division 1 and Division 2.
I could imagine trying to keep up with Will Saha, Jamie Vardy is just second to none, I'm going to say.
Well, I was a little bit younger and a little bit quicker, but you just blow the whistle. Just blow the whistle to slow them down, to stop them.
I hear that. I just listening to your journey and listening to all of the things that you've been through, the first thing that comes to my mind, after 20 years of so much experience of between, as you say, the Championship, League 1, League 2, officiating international players now as well. Has none of the younger referees ever reached out to you and asked you for advice? Because you would be somebody that I'd be knocking on the door immediately.
Yeah.
What are some of the gems that you give?
Well, I think, it's all about working hard, very much working hard, having that dedication and commitment to the game. You do need a lot of support, not only from your close-knit family and friends, but as you say, there's a lot of experienced people out there that you can call upon. The game has changed so much over the years, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning today. It's very much a case of, as you say, reaching out and offering that advice as and when it's asked for. We act as obviously fourth officials as well, which is good because again, helping the younger referees who are obviously starting off on their journeys. We can offer them advice, pre, during, and post match. So yes, a lot of the younger referees do reach out to the more experienced ones amongst the group.
I feel like an immediate question I'd always want to know as a fan, or even maybe as a player, how much communication is there in terms of within the technology between the two linesmen, the referee, and the fourth official? How much are you actually communicating within the game?
All the time. Obviously, the communication kits that we've now got are godsend, really. It enables us to, as you say, not only talk to the two assistants, we can relay back to the fourth official, which can help him or her manage the technical area staff. It is a pressurized environment in the technical area, and one manager's going to want a free kick, one manager's not, so that kind of constant communication enables us as a team to manage the game. It's not just down to the referee. It's a group effort, and we can all help each other in terms of managing both the on-field players as well as the technical and off-field players who are probably itching to get on.
I feel like the important question I would want to ask you around the diversity, because we can focus on the age diversity that you bring, but there's other elements of diversity. We've seen the great barriers that Sian Massey has broken down in terms of what she's doing with the game and just allowing people to believe and achieve that that's possible. I think about Uriah Rennie, who is, of course, one of the first Black and the only Black referee that's managed at the Premier League level so far. How do we manage to make the refereeing world more diverse, and so you can encourage the next pool of referees to look more reflective of the current world?
Yeah, and I think, as you've rightly mentioned, Sian and Yuri, we've got more females coming through the ranks. Obviously, Rebecca Welsh, who's now a Football League referee, and we're finding more and more minority groups being represented on the Football League. Obviously, Sam Allison is also now Football League referee, and we've got Jarnil Singh and his two sons who are prominent now in the football arena. I think those guys have got a big part to play, and they're doing it. And I think the likes of myself, as I mentioned right from the outset, I started life in London, multi-ethnical background in terms of players that I was playing with, players that I was refereeing, and as well as colleagues. So football is that global sport, and in our country, we're very much open to ensuring that everyone is given the opportunities to fulfill potential dreams, and working on the big stage.
Andy, how do you remain so cool under pressure? I mean, my job is pressurized, and I understand what techniques I use, and it probably only works for someone like myself. But this is me trying to dive into your world. How do you remain so cool under pressure when you only get a split second to make what some people and some fans will say are life-changing decisions?
Yeah, potentially. It comes with experience, it's always about remaining calm, being in control of your emotions, and don't rush into making those decisions. I know you just said you've got a split second, but sometimes you have to picture that moment and use the 2 or 3 seconds actually that you've got before you can make that decision. And taking that snapshot picture and get it embedded into your head helps you then kind of work through what decision you're actually going to make. But yes, as you say, it's a pressurized environment, whether you're performing in front of 300 fans or 30,000 fans. At the end of the day, everyone is looking at you to make those decisions, and you have to remain calm and collected.
I want to know some of the life skills. You talk about support and some of the gems that you've picked up. There's going to be referees and future referees on this call. There's going to be watching this as well when it's played back out. That's going to want to know some of the life skills that you would turn around and pass on to them, because you're their senior. You're where a lot of people are aspiring to be. So what are some of the life gems that you would pass on?
I think first and foremost is make sure that you use the environment around you in terms of the local referee associations, your local football associations, and if you're aware of any training camps, I'm part of a training team. There's a group of us. We range from 6 to 20, and we train twice a week. Get in with those groups because you can learn more just from talking to people in a non-football environment, as in a track, a training session, than you can from actually going to a game. But again, saying that, don't be shy. Ask some of the senior representatives in your area if they wouldn't mind either coming to watch you, so it kind of opens that door, or whether they can come to a game with you, so they see it for real. As I say, there's lots and lots of opportunities now, which probably weren't around when I first started. And it's now, really for those individuals that see a career in refereeing, to make sure they take on board those opportunities and reach out to, local referees in their area, whether they be, refereeing on the contributory leagues, or whether they, refereeing at the higher levels of the, the Football League, the Championship, even the Premier League. Don't be shy. We're all human, and as you say, JD, we want to ensure that next generation of referees get the support that they need.
I have just one more very quick question for you. I don't think people recognize how much dedication it takes to become a top level referee. So could you pass on, just in terms of what you've had to sacrifice or the levels of fitness is required to consistently perform at that level, just so people can really recognize how much you put in your 3 decades in this game?
Yeah, it's always challenging. The game has changed. The speed of the game is changing every year. But yes, you've got to be dedicated. You've got to be committed, and you do have to train hard. I noticed that the weather condition changes moving up from London to the northeast. Used to training 10, 12 degrees in the winter in the south, and it's -2 in the northeast. But you still have to wrap up and go out and train, put in the miles before those games. As I say, you do need the support of your family. I know we're in a pandemic, and we're still obviously in that phase. But this year, because my game on Boxing Day has actually been called off already because of COVID. But this is probably the first year in many years that I'm actually going to be able to spend time with the family on Boxing Day. Obviously Boxing Day is a big day out for the football fans. But I'm going to miss it. But it gives me an opportunity to spend that time with the family. So yeah, I say, I think, I try and wrap that up in 3 words, but, support, dedication, and commitment. And if you've got all those 3, then you'll go far. You will go far.
Support, dedication, commitment. Words of Andy Haines. Thank you so much, my friend. And keep driving, man. In the new year, I'm pretty sure I'll see you at a game or two, man. Thank you so much for what you're giving to the game.
Thank you.
Cal, I mean, you've achieved so much, and it's only the first 10 years, technically, of your career, right? But what are some of the major setbacks that you've experienced, that you've seen, and that you also want to prepare yourself for in terms of barriers?
I mean, I can go, get on the promotion path where you're getting on, can't wait, so I'm going to get promoted at the end of the season. Well, my first year going from level 7 to 6, I never got promoted. So there's your first setback. In your first year of refereeing men's football, you don't get promoted. Could have easily just gone, that's not for me, this. But it was all down to me. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because that first year I never got promoted. I've been promoted every year since, and now I'm refereeing in the professional game within 4 to 5 years. So there's a great saying: failure is a bruise, not a tattoo, and that's one I live by. There are going to be setbacks, but like Darren said, if you own it and you've got self-belief and self-confidence, you've got to put that trust in yourself that you are good enough. And if you carry on working hard, then you will reap the rewards. None of the success that we have in refereeing comes through just saying Saturday with no preparation through the week, through the months, through the years. It's all down to hard work. There's an element of luck along the way. You've got to have things go well for you, and there are times where you do get away with one, or you go on a hunch. But it's not through hard work. The only way you are going to be successful in anything is through putting the work in. The work goes from Monday to Friday, then the game comes, and then the work starts again of a Sunday with your recovery and the way you look after yourself and the way you analyse a game. There's more support, and there's better networks out there now to really make a great success in refereeing. And the younger you are, the better at the end of the day. I could potentially still have a 20, 25-year career in this, and where I end up remains to be seen. But that's only going to come through the hard work. And there are tough times, but usually the better times do outweigh the bad times. For every one bad game, there's 4 or 5 other great games. For one bad comment, there's 4 or 5 great comments. So it's just about having that self-belief. I imagine that there's going to be a setback for me around the corner, but those setbacks will make me a better referee. And you don't learn, like Darren said, you don't learn from the games where you run around and you do nothing and everyone's patting you on the back at the end. You learn from the games where you're in the trenches and you've got to really grind the results out. There's some games when a ball looks like a ping pong ball. There's other times it looks like a beach ball, and it just makes everything much easier. But through hard work, the rewards and the opportunities will come, and now is probably the best time to be involved in refereeing. It's probably only going to get better within the next 10 years.
I'm so glad that you said that, Cal, because there'll be so many people from different backgrounds that will be concerned about the lack of diversity they see in terms of referees and stuff in the game. You, as one of the new wave of referees that are coming through, why is there been a lack of diversity, and what can we do to sort of change that and encourage people from different backgrounds to get involved in the game now?
I think football's a very diverse environment. You only have to look at the Premier League now, and you look at the amount of diversity that comes within the game, within the teams, people from all different countries, backgrounds, ethnicities. Football's working hard to make it more diverse. You look at the Rainbow Laces campaign over the last couple of weeks. The Black Lives Matter and the show races and the red card and all the rest of it. If you can be open, and if football's an open environment for everyone, then there's room for all. And the FA's mantra is football is for all. Unfortunately, there has been a lack of diversity, but hopefully the work that's going on now will open them doors to those people. And at the end of the day, refereeing's for everyone.
Darren, do you believe that that's the same? Because I'm seeing the progression, and it brought such a smile to my face seeing the progression of someone like Sean and what she's done in the game. And I think about some of the trailblazers before, like Uri Rennie, and what they've done in the game to inspire. We very much are in this generation now where they need to see it in order to believe it. So are the progression pathways there for the new referees to come into the game?
Absolutely. And I think these things take time, don't they? As well, it happens over not days or weeks. It happens over years. This and I think you can see it happening now. You can see the change, and it's fantastic to see positive change as well. And like I said, everything's been more streamlined now in terms of accessing referee courses and much more practical, rather than sitting behind a desk and just doing the laws of the game, which is what I did when I did my course. It's much more practical, hands-on now. It appeals to more people from all different walks of life. And yeah, for me, that will come, and it just takes time with the thing. You can't do things instantly and change the culture. But what the PGMOL are putting in place now in the FA, I think we will see the reward. We'll reap the rewards in years to come, and hopefully that will be the next 1 or 2 years as well. I'm sure it will be, where we see people coming through refereeing from all walks of life, and then that will just grow bigger and bigger. Because, like you said, JD, you have to see it to believe it, and the more role models we have from different backgrounds, that will just have a knock-on effect then to recruit more and more people. And like anything, you've got to have the ability to progress. You've got to have the commitment, no matter what walk of life you're from and what your background is. But now there's a clear pathway in place to reward those people and to support the people who don't want to progress and just happy to be at a certain level as well. There's also there's a big group of people there who are happy to referee at a certain level. But again, the support's there now. And I think over time, we will see a big difference where there's more and more role models, and what you'll see on TV, which everyone goes by, and what everybody forms an opinion of, it'll be much more diverse going forward, which can all be a good thing.
I mean, we're into the final 5 minutes. I could talk to you gentlemen all day about this and just love your stories. But you are here because of the age diversity in terms of what you've created and how brilliant you've both been as younger referees. So, Darren, I think about Mike Oliver, Stuart Atwell, I mean, yourself. Do you think the development pathways are there being created sooner for younger referees in today's generation?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes, there's certain levels you've got to go through to work up the pyramid, but you can go through those levels pretty quickly. As Callum said earlier, he went through the levels pretty quick over the last 5 seasons. And yeah, there might be levels where you spend a little bit more time at, but again, that's for the right reasons. It's for you to develop and get used to that level and adapt and improve your skills for that particular level in order to prepare yourself for the next level above. So the biggest piece of advice I would say to young referees as well is the support network's there. The rewards are huge. You're going to have setbacks. You will have setbacks. But if you've got a support network, the rewards at the end are huge. And your end may not be the Premier League. It might just be a certain level. Everybody's end and goal is different, but the support's there. But if you've got the hard work and the commitment, then the pathway is there. Like I said, I keep saying it, it's becoming more streamlined. It's becoming easier to navigate your way through the levels more quickly, as opposed to having to spend a certain number of years at this level, certain number of years at this level. And you can see that with people like Stuart Atwell and Michael Oliver and myself and Callum coming through the levels pretty quickly. So it's without sounding too cheesy at Christmas, the future is looking good in terms of refereeing going forward. And the popularity of refereeing is so much higher than before, because people like Howard Webb, who did the World Cup final, it brings that brings credibility to refereeing, and the fact that we've got social media and platforms now that can promote refereeing. It's easier, isn't it, to get the message out there as opposed to just word of mouth, which we used to have to rely on many years ago now.
Cal, are you seeing that as someone that's involved in that pathway and has so many ambitions to go even further in the pathway? Are you seeing it? Are you feeling a core of referees coming through in this development scheme now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most dressing rooms, I am normally the youngest. I am normally the youngest in the dressing room, but I take great pride in that. That's a testament to the hard work that I've put in over the last few years. But as Darren said, the access now to the likes of people like Darren, the access to people higher up, the advice, the support networks are definitely there. You know, the FA have got a fantastic development program in the FA Core program, which I've had, you know, been lucky to be involved in the last 4 seasons. That's definitely helped my development and accelerated my development. But now, as Darren said, nothing isn't going to come through hard work. And those people younger than me have got to realise that without working hard, you will not get to the levels that you want to get at. We're lucky now with the age of social media. There's a lot more exposure to refereeing. People are seeing it as a progression to be a career. You can make a career out of a hobby. You know, if I get promoted 3 more times, then I am only 1 step away from a full-time contract in Select Group 2. And that's the sort of ambition that you've got to have. Potentially that one day I could leave the current job I'm working in and football could be my full-time job, which would be fantastic. It may not be, but as long as at the end of it, if I'm sat in my rocking chair in 40 years' time and I go, well, I give myself a good go and I have no regrets, then so be it. We'll all reach our ceiling eventually, and hopefully that it's as high as possible.
I like the quote that was said earlier, the best seat in the house that's not actually playing. I mean, that's not far off, you know. I'm not going to lie to you. It's half the reason as to why I do it myself. I look at it this way. If you had one message, each of you, just for the young referees that's going to be watching this, for the experienced referees that are going to still be learning from this, what message would you pass on to those that are wanting to get involved and definitely get involved in the pathway as well? And Cal, will go first with you, man.
I'd say just extract everything you can out of every development session, out of every game. If you can take one thing from every game that you're involved with and move forward and try and improve best you can, then and just keep working hard. That would be my advice. And remember to enjoy it. That's what we're here for. We all love football. We all love refereeing. So make sure you don't stop enjoying it.
And Darren, you can, of course, do the final words.
Yeah, appreciate and the fact that there will be setbacks along that journey, but be realistic as well in terms of where you want to be by a certain time, and the fact that there will be setbacks there, you'll learn a lot from. But I tell you what, the rewards, the opportunities, what come with refereeing at every level of the game are huge now. And like I said, there's not many hobbies out there that you can actually turn into being a actual work and career. And refereeing is absolutely one of those where it can be, and you can see the evidence that it does happen. And to have that kind of full-time job now in the world I operate in is a fantastic way to develop yourself. And if the Premier League is not your ultimate goal, refereeing will give you so many positive experiences and opportunities to develop your skills, like I said before, from teamwork, leadership, communication, body language. That will help you massively in all walks of life, in your other forms of life, what you have in terms of your college, your education and work as well. So there's many, many benefits. And yeah, I encourage anyone to take up the whistle.
Now, if you have any questions about today's session, or maybe you're just considering taking up a refereeing course in the new year, you can reach out by contacting the PGMOL. As you can see, the revolving reel down at the bottom. You can follow them on all of the socials, which is, of course, the PGMOL, at the FA on the PGMOL with the underscore in between. So at the FA on the PGMOL and the underscore in between on both of the Instagram and Twitter handles. And thank you more than anything else. This has been an insightful and incredible discussion. But that's all we have time for today. And I just want to thank my panel again. Thank to Mike Riley, who popped in and did things that only Mike Riley could do. And for all those that are going to be watching this, look, really take in some of the gems that have been given today and discussed between all of the referees. And hopefully 2022 can be your year to start your journey. And again, you can follow all of the relevant information on the website. Until then, man, stay tuned and obviously stay locked in for the Breaking Barriers YouTube series. Some incredible stuff they've got coming up in the new year too. And I'll see you very, very soon. It's been your boy JD signing out.